Hi everyone. I decided that I'm gonna delve into linguistics a bit because because I don't know so much about it, and since I decided that I'm gonna take a general approach to every realm of knowledge, then I'm gonna try to have a better understanding of the system of language because I think that's the first thing that I need to think of. And I need to start with that specifically. And Noam Chomsky is like the biggest name in linguistics. So I'm gonna start reading the Minimalist program. It's a book about, I guess it's about like a very general, it gives you a general sense as to what linguistic is all about, I guess. I'm not sure. I've read a bit about it, some people reviews, but no, I don't know what exactly it is that I'm getting myself into. But we're gonna start reading it, and it's gonna be a gem. I really expect it to be a gem because it's coming from Noam Chomsky, and he's a kind of a genius. So, the theory of principles and parameters with Howard Lasnik. What? Why Howard Lasnik? I thought it was like all about what Chomsky has to say. Oh, it's just an introduction, I guess. I don't know. Let's read it. Principles and parameters, P and P. Theory is not a precisely articulated theoretical system, but rather a particular approach to classical problems of the study of language. Guided by certain leading ideas that had been taking shape since the origins of modern generative grammar some 40 years ago. These ideas crystallized into a distinctive approach to the topic by about 1980. In the years since, many specific variants have been developed and explored. The empirical base of these inquiries has also greatly expanded as they have extended to languages of widely varying types and have engaged a much broader range of evidence concerning language and its use, also penetrating to far greater depth. In this survey, we will not attempt to delineate the variety of proposals that have been investigated or to assess their empirical successes and inadequacies. Rather, we will pursue a particular path through the array of ideas and principles that have been developed, sometimes noting other directions that have been pursued, but without any attempt to be comprehensive. Similarly, bibliographic references are far from comprehensive, usually indicating only a few studies of particular questions. The choice of a particular path should be regarded only as an expository device and an effort to indicate the kinds of questions that are being addressed. Some of the thinking that guides much research and its empirical motivation. We do not mean to imply that these particular choices have been well established in contrast to others. Only some of them, only some of which we will be able to we will be able to even mention. Okay, I'm mixing these things together. Okay, this chapter, co-authored with Howard Lasnik, was originally published in Syntax, an international handbook of contemporary research, edited by Joe Jacobs. Let's just say Jacob. Arnim von. Okay, I'm not gonna read those names. I can't. It's very hard. It appears here with minor revisions by permission of the publisher. Okay. Now I get it. Why the whole text is from Howard Lasnik. It's just a part of it. It's not gonna be the entire book. The study of generative grammar has been guided by several fundamental problems, each with a traditional flavor. The basic concern is to determine the character and characterize the linguistic capacities of particular individuals. We are concerned then with states of the language faculty. which we understand to be some array of cognitive traits and capacities, a particular component of the human mind and brain. The language faculty has an initial state, genetically determined. In the normal course of development, it passes through a series of states in early childhood, reaching a relatively stable, steady state that undergoes little subsequent change apart from the lexicon. To a good first approximation, the initial state appears to be uniform for the species. Adapting traditional terms to a special usage, we call the theory of the state attained its grammar and the theory of the initial state universal grammar. Okay? Oh, that the state attained, what? And okay, I didn't get that actually. That specific part of it, but we're gonna read on. There is also reason to believe that the initial state is in crucial respects a special characteristic of humans with properties that appear to be unusual in the biological world. If true, that is a matter of broader interest, but one of no direct relevance to determining the properties and nature of this faculty of the mind or brain. Two fundamental problems then are to determine for each individual, say Jones, the properties of the steady state that Jones's language faculty attains, and the properties of the initial state that is a common human endowment. We distinguish between Jones's competence, knowledge, and understanding, and his performance, what he does with that knowledge and understanding. The steady state constitutes Jones's mature linguistic competence. A salient property of the steady state is that it permits infinite use of finite means. To borrow Wilhelm von Hamlet, whatever aphorism, a particular choice of these finite means is a particular language. Taking a language to be a way to speak and understand in a traditional formulation, Jones's competence is constituted by the particular system of finite means he has acquired. The notion of infinite use requires further analysis. In the light of insights of the formal sciences in the 20th century, we distinguish two senses of this notion. The first relating to competence, the second to performance. Oh, it's very interesting the difference between these two words are just like really like, I don't know, sometimes things I just read something and it feels very good because I kind of like understand something, you know, in a very mathematical way. So like it's like a formula that switches on, and I know that it's not mathematical or anything like that, but it really requires a bit of like reasoning to understand these terms, right? And so like I love that about this book. At least till now, I guess. In the first sense, a language specifies an infinite range of symbolic objects, which we call structural descriptions, SDs. We may think of the language then as a finitely, how's it pronounced? I've never seen this word. I mean, I know what it means, finitely, like how do you pronounce the ly? That I have never seen this word finite with that suffix ly. What is it really? Like I don't know if it exists or it's just like a typo or something. Finitely, I don't know. Specified generative procedure function that enumerates an infinite set of SDs. Each SD, in turn, specifies the full array of phonetic, semantic, and syntactic properties of a particular linguistic expression. This sense of infinite use relates to Jones's linguistic competence, the generative procedure with its infinite scope. The second sense of infinite use has to do with Jones's performance as he makes use of his competence to express his thoughts, to refer, to produce signals, to interpret what he hears, and so on. The language faculty is embedded in performance systems, which access the generative procedure. It is in this broader context that questions of realization and use of SDs arise, questions of articulation, intentionality, interpretation, and the like. How does Jones say X? What is Jones talking about? What does Jones take Smith to be saying or intending to convey, and so on? We might think of the SD as providing instructions to the performance systems that enable Jones to carry out these actions. When we say that Jones has the language L, we now mean that Jones's language faculty is in the state L, which we identify with a generative procedure embedded in performance systems to distinguish this concept of language from others. Let us refer to it as language, where I language, where I is to suggest internal, individual, and intentional. The concept of language is internal in that it deals with an inner state of Jones's brain or mind. Independent of other elements in the world, it is individual in that it deals with Jones and with language communities only derivatively, as groups of people with similar I languages. It is intentional in the technical sense that the I language is a function specified in intention, not extension. Its extension is the set of SDs or structural, what was it called? I just forgot. Do I have Alzheimer's disease or something? What? I can't remember it. Okay. You know why I'm saying this? Like, I'm saying, like, why can I remember this? I just read it because I just watched the movie. It was like about a person who undergoes a very horrible disease called Alzheimer's. I mean, everybody knows it, but it was like very scary to like see that movie and like what if I lose? Okay, I'm not gonna go into that negative tangent, but yeah, why can I just remember something that I just read? It's very scary to me. Oh, structural descriptions. Okay, now it makes sense. What we might call the structure of the language, I language. Two distinct I languages might, in principle, have the same structure, though as a matter of empirical fact, human language may happen not to permit this option. That is, it might turn out that the range of I languages permitted by UG is so narrow that the theoretical option is simply not realized, that there are no distinct I languages generating the same set of SDs. This seems, in fact, not unlikely, but it is not a logical necessity. When we use the term language below, we mean I language. In the earliest work in generative grammar, it was assumed that Jones's language generates an SD for each of the permissible phonetic forms for human language, as said to be specified by UG. Thus, Jones's language assigns a particular status to such expressions as one, which is something we're about to read, where T, trace, indicates the position in which the question word is construed. John is sleeping. John seems sleeping. What do you think that Mary fixed? What do you wonder whether Mary fixed? Okay, I'm not gonna read all of that. What? I'm seeing a lot of math here. It's not so much of a math. In fact, some of the most instructive recent work has been concerned with the differences illustrated by whatever, both in some sense deviant, deviant, what? Departing from usual. Okay, I know what it means, but what is the pronunciation of it? I'm just gonna check it out.
Deviant. Deviant.
Please, quickly. Okay, it's stuck. Just read it, okay? Please. All right. Deviant? Deviant. I feel like deviant. I don't know. It's something, but assigned a different status by Jones's language sections, one whatever, and one might well learn about the languages of Jones and Wong by studying their reactions to utterances of Swahili. Another notion that appears commonly in the literature is formal language. In the technical sense, a set of well formed formulas in a familiar variety of formal arithmetic, but not like this, called such a set an E language, where E is to suggest external and extensional. In the theory of formal languages, the E language is defined by stipulation, hence is unproblematic. But it is a question of empirical fact whether natural language has any counterpart to this notion. That is, whether Jones's I language generates not only a set of Sts, but also a distinguished E language, some subset of the phonetic forms of UG, including some but not all of those of one. Apart from expository passages, the concept of E language scarcely appears in the tradition of generative grammar that we are considering here. As distinct from the notion discussed earlier, it has no known status in the study of language. One might define E language in one or another way, but it does not seem to matter how this is done. There is no known gap in linguistic theory, no explanatory function that would be felt where such a concept presented. Hence, it will play no role in our discussion.